So selecting the right partners in any part of the supply chain is absolutely crucial, especially given the current disruption, the current uncertainty that's happening on a global scale, but none more so when a plant is being launched, when a plant is being developed from the ground up. So we'd like to have a case study and invite colleagues from Toyota and from Penske to give some insights and share how they have developed their partnership to ensure that their new manufacturing plant in Guanajuato, sorry if I got that wrong, Guanajuato, Toyota Manufacturing de Guanajuato, and ensure that their partnership is successful and that the plant delivers and lives up to the Toyota name. So I'd like to invite Eli Cole, Production Control General Manager for Toyota Motor Manufacturing, and Stacy Schlachter, Vice President of Enterprise Accounts for Penske Logistics Mexico.
I guess I'm first. Well, I guess almost noon, but good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm very glad to be here. As it has been already mentioned, my name is Eliel Cole. My safety commitment is to be aware of my surroundings and promote safety by example. For me, it's very exciting. It's the first time that I'm in an event like this one, and I'm very glad to be communicating this activity with all of you. And also, I was very glad to see all the innovation and all the items that has been shared today. To start a little bit on the presentation, I want to go back a little bit on what has been the Toyota Manufacturing of Guanajuato project. So, sorry about that. Is this one? Oh, there you go. So, one of the key points for Toyota Motor in Mexico has been the integration. The first thing it was back on 2002, when the distribution and the introduction of the brand to Mexico was defined in Mexico City. At this moment, we have 91 distribution centers with all 19 models. That was a settlement point for the brand and also a key point, because right after that, we have the first manufacturing plant in Mexico, a small plant for 30,000 at the beginning that was set up on Tijuana in the east coast of Mexico, a little bit different from the rest of the manufacturing plants that usually go to the west. That was a key moment for Toyota because we were developing our distribution, but at the same time, we were developing also all the systems in Mexico. We have a lot of support, DNA transfer from Japan, from TMC. Also, we have a lot of support from North America, from the other plants. So we can start developing internally in the region, in Mexico. Then, after we suffer all the sections, I guess, that are here in 2008, 2009. There was some conditions in the market. But fortunately, decision was made back in 2015 to set up a new plant in Mexico, in the heart of Mexico, in the Bajío region, the one that is getting the most exposure for the automotive industry. Also, we have another sections, such as the training center for our distribution members, and also the parts distribution center that is to supply parts to our staff. So how has been the project? Initially in 2015, there was the announcement, oh yeah, we're gonna have a plant in Guanajuato. The initial product was Corolla, the car most sold in the world, right? So, and we were very excited. And 2016, it was the groundbreaking. We have the government sharing with us the groundbreaking to start. But in 2017, we already discussed some of how has been the demand, how is the market function, and we decided to change the product, and it was announced. We switched to Tacoma, having an initial capacity of 100,000, and the SOP program to December of 2019. So we finished our construction of the plant on around April of that year. And then on 2019, on December, we have our SOP, a start of production. And we can see we were very glad with the first unit. Everybody was sharing all that moment, very good moment, very good quality, very good conditions. But what has been that kind of key point for all the development? We couldn't get there if we didn't have good on-site partners, good partners. It's not suppliers, it's partners. How we are developing our strengths and how we can achieve our conditions is through that mindset. And today I have the opportunity to review a little bit or talk briefly with my friend Stacy from Penske. And we have a partnership for our internal logistics and also for the yard management and that. Key points that we are developing right now. On the overall Mexico production, right now we are targeting 266,000 Tacomas a year. That is a combined production between the two plants. The key point is how we can strengthen our supply chain, how we can develop and share the strategies between the plants, how we can develop our partners, and how we can commonize our processes so we can improve on every decision that we make. So for that, this triangle was made. We call it the truck triangle, divided in 2 countries, 3 plants. Probably you have heard about the Texas plant that right now is producing Tacoma and Tundra, our Tijuana plant that produced Tacoma, and now the Guanajuato plant that is producing Tacoma too. So within these 3 plants, we are developing our partners and making sure that we take the right decisions. So one of the key points for the development, training, and what we are doing, a core fundamental for our plan is Mexicans training Mexicans. Why we mean that? We already passed through the moment on Tijuana, back in 2003, where we have that DNA transfer from Japan and from North America with the Toyota fundamentals. So we set up a very aggressive target to make sure that the training was passed through those learning points to the new team members. 100% of our team members for production were new hires. Some of the group leaders, some of the supervision was transferred from Tijuana, and we made the right decision to make sure that we were able to train them. But what is the key point for that? So the key points are how to teach the culture, how we make sure that we share the tools from Toyota and is learned to that. But this not only with our team members. That was the key moment where we decide that we have a partnership with different partners that we have, like Penske, and we can make sure, or the commitment and the condition to we are gonna share the wins, and also we are gonna face and make sure that we go through the challenges together to make sure that we have a good partnership and development. After we have those learning points of the Toyota culture and the tools learning, we still start with the skill development for our members. That everybody together. We have those sessions, we have those reviews, those trials. But at the same time, we also get a lot of the learning points from our partners. In this case, from Penske, we receive system, culture, and best practices. And today, Stacy is going to share some of them. But for me, has been a very crucial and very key development phase for me. So I've been able to learn different conditions of the automotive industry. Through the training, we were able to do a standard training and make sure the fundamentals are shared with our partners. And we face and we share the same principles. At the same time, the process development is not given to the partners or not just kept by Toyota in this case, but is shared between both of them so we can get the best process for the activity. The flexibility is incorporated based on the best practices and the conditions that we are sharing. And finally, we can set up very specific KPIs shared by both of them and understand them, safety, quality, as pillars for the future and also for all the requirements that we are developing. In this case, we have two specific sections with Penske. There is the yard management, and there's the internal logistics. We make sure that we share how are the tools, how we are managing our unloading for the parts, how we manage our deliveries, and also how we are transitioning the line side deliveries of the parts. Through that, we make sure that we have a cyclic rotation and also shorten the lead time for the delivery, increase the efficiency, and make sure that we have flexibility. And all that incorporated to the requests that we might face in the different conditions of the production line. Through that, it becomes really important, the learning points and the sharing of our tools with our partners so we can share and we can develop along those processes and minimize the conditions on quality or safety. This is just an example that we have been doing and developing on the yard management. Safety is a key point on that section for us, and we have an overall North America production plants committee where we review, and in our case, we have a lot of development together and assigned within Penske, the logistics group, and Toyota. So we can share the tools and we can optimize the development of countermeasures. So at the same time, we have ownership, but also give that ownership to our partners so we can share the development of that. Today, we are going to review one of those examples, and it's going to be shared in the future, in the next presentation. Along with that, for Toyota, it's very important the path for the 2050, that is the CO2, zero emissions reduction. For that, we have, within the plan, we have had many activities such as the LED lighting, the reduction of water consumption through new technologies, improving the condition also on the buildings to have natural lighting, natural ventilation, different conditions. But at the same time, sharing those activities with our partners has given us the opportunity to improve the electrification and different options that they also are supporting Toyota to achieve those targets. All of these activities has a single and a key motto or key target to achieve. That is the full integrated operations for internal and external logistics. Again, one of the key points that we have been developing with Penske is to make sure that we have a good condition for the connectivity, communication, and sharing of the difficulties that we might have, but at the same time, overcoming those difficulties through a good communication. And our plant, as you can see it on the screen, is a well-communicated plant. We are interconnected by breezeway with all the on-site partners that we have on the plant. And it's fundamental that communication so we can make sure that we have a good understanding of our 3PL needs, but at the same time with the core of the logistics from Toyota. Same thing is looking for the future, and it's something that we are discussing together with our partners, how to incorporate new technologies and how to develop that. It's not just a single side decision, but a development together with them. So for that, it has been a long journey up to this point to make sure that we have an integrated condition with our on-site partners, but at the same time very rewarding because we have been able to learn many requirements, many activities, and develop key conditions for the future that is awarded to us. To be able to do that, we are making sure that we open the doors. We are always both ways communication and make sure that there is integration within all the parts in the plant. So this is from my side. Now I'm gonna hand over to my friend Stacy. She's gonna present details on the activities from Penske. So please, Stacy. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you very much for the time to share some approaches that we have with Toyota and how we've adapted together to move both of our companies forward. So many of you know of the services that Penske provides both here in Mexico and across the globe, so I'm only going to share a few facts with you. 2019 represented Penske's 50th year of providing award-winning services. In fact, last year, 15 of our customers recognized us with some of their top supplier awards. We have 19,000 associates globally, with 3,000 located here in Mexico. Our scale and recognition is really an output of our culture, our people, and our passion to serve our employees and our communities. So transitioning to what we do for Toyota today, here's a list of our services that we provide. We started our engagement or a partnership with them in 1988 in Canada. We provide both tactical services for them inside and outside of the plant, as well as be a strategic partner to help them with their longer-term initiatives. So before we move forward, I just want to describe how we're using the word adaptive today. And that is to really calmly work through unplanned problems or concerns with a willingness and high energy to find new ways to reach our goals. And I'm going to do that through 3 examples. The first is in hiring and retention, and how we have found to share best practices with our partner in Toyota, which really creates a better foundation for all of us. I'm going to talk about safety best practices and how we learn together, we change together, and really we're better when we do that. And that's outside of whether it's Penske or any other logistics provider. And then from the electrical equipment, here what I'm going to talk about is how it's important for a service provider to help balance meeting the long-term goals through strategies, as well as balancing defining how to meet a short-term objectives within business plans or plant timelines. Okay, so for hiring and retention, all of us in this room are really in the business of people. We're all trying to hire the best, most talented associates. Penske's no different. In fact, in 2019, we were recognized by Forbes. When they rated the top 500 employers, we were ranked 72. You can see by the information listed here, we have below market absenteeism and attrition at the TMMGT plant. Now, how did we adapt through this? So when Toyota defined their timeline for launching the plant, we were allotted 2 weeks to use their dojo or their training center to simulate the training tools for our associates. And based on our knowledge of Toyota, the automotive business, as well as understanding that the goal was 0 defects and the highest level of quality, we went to Toyota and said, okay, well, 2 weeks is fine, but 6 weeks is better. And we laid out all of the reasons why it would be better to adjust that timeline to drive a safe environment where all the associates better understood their work instructions. And so we worked together to do that, and it proved to be a great decision because we had a very safe launch, and we also had our employees had a very high engagement because they knew we were putting their interests first. So safety best practices. Toyota sends out a bulletin every month to all of their suppliers, notifying them of safety best practices to share, as well as warning them of safety best practices that may need to be improved upon. So at Penske, we took that bulletin and we evaluated. There was a moment with a shunt truck driver where they exited the vehicle and didn't engage the brake. And so we looked into that and applied our critical thinking and found that if you put a buzzer on the seat before they stand up, that's a great reminder for them so that they ensure the brake. So we went through some testing and we retrofitted all of our shunt trucks to have this alarm. Then we worked with Toyota to share with them this best practice, and they rolled it out across all of their logistics providers. And so this is a great example of how we all adapted together. And what's great about the Mexico plant is this was the first plant to be launched with this new process because it's been institutionalized. So there might be a video that's going to be played so that you can hear this alarm. Oh! Great. So that just demonstrates just a small little tweak to the process to ensure safety for all of our employees. Okay, electric equipment. We talked about the goal that Toyota has for 2050 to have a zero carbon footprint. And in order to accomplish that, they have to rely on their suppliers. Us being one of those, we wanted to find ways to launch the Mexico plant with electric vehicles. And that meant we had to balance achieving their long-term goals with the constraints of the timelines within the plant, the existing infrastructure, and the availability of the electric equipment. We found a way to do that with them and balanced, again, both the short-term and the long-term goals that they stated. And although only 11 electric forklifts and 22 electric tuggers seem small, when you combine it to all the other work that we've done with them to help meet this long-term initiative, it combined, it's the equivalent of reducing 251,000 miles, or about 400,000 kilometers, of miles driven in an average vehicle, 111,000 pounds of coal burned, or 50,000 kilos, and about 13 million charged cell phones. So with that, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to share our story.
Great, thank you very much for that. Very different case study, but great to see the importance of an open door partnership. I think so often when you speak to the companies, logistics service providers and OEMs during the tender processes, it's very much closed shop. This is the problem, what's the solution? But looking beyond that shows you what you can actually achieve by having some true collaboration. So fantastic. I'd like to invite Dr. Koch back up to the stage, unless he's run off. No, he hasn't? Excellent. And you can join the join the Q&As. You have the lapel? Oh, we have a handheld. Yeah, come on. No problem, we can put a handheld.
Hello, nice to meet you.
So just while Dr. Koch takes a seat, I'd like to open this out to the floor. So this is your conference. You're here to learn, to engage. So please be forthcoming with your questions. So is there anyone who'd like to start, kick things off? Take that one.
Hello, I'm Daniel. I'm from Portland. So this question is for Dr. Koch. So you mentioned that you guys do tracking the material live on your logistics operation. Do you do that through RFID? Is that what you're using to track all the material?
No, it's not RFID. We have a chip card in our cars, and we utilize that for positioning, tracing of the finished vehicles.
Thank you.
Honestly to say, this is not possible at the moment in all markets worldwide, but we're developing it and we will roll out in the upcoming 3 to 5 years. It's all over the world.
Okay, thanks. So any more questions? Yeah, please.
My name is Rafael Lopez, and this is a question for Dr. Carl. I would like to know which is your, how many days is your total order to delivery cycle, and which actions have you done in order to improve or to reduce that cycle? Thank you.
Order to delivery cycle depends really on the markets you have. So we get a bundling of all the orders through central IT systems in Munich. We make a planning of the orders and fixing the orders, as I said, 6.5 days prior to start of assembly. And then depending on the markets, it is then an outbound supply chain with the time. People typically get 6 to 8 weeks as a response time, and also leading to additional complexity in our supply chain. they can change the specification up to 8 days upfront of the start of production. So it's quite a good business. We have quite some customers who order a car, say, I do not want to exaggerate a certain price. Later on they say, if I get this car, that I still want to have this and this option in addition, and they were able to change that roughly 8 to 10 days prior to start of production.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we have one down at the front.
Sorry, I have to borrow your microphone. Can I, Stacey, when the figures for the retention, were those Mexico as well as US? Do they differ, and do you have sort of different processes to keep and retain your workers here in Mexico, you know, similar to the US, or are they different in any way?
So those figures were for the TMM GT plant, so for that one location. So we have several approaches that we deploy at many of our locations. We have employee engagement specialists. We make sure that our management staff is local, understands local cultures. We spend a lot of time with community events and philanthropy that draws our employees in. It's important to us that we both adapt the culture of the customers that we're working with and maintain our own. We think that's important for all of our associates, regardless of location.
And for Toyota, are you benchmarking your logistics processes, for example, with your counterparts in the US and elsewhere? And have you can you share any insight into how Mexico is kind of performing for the new plant relative to elsewhere in the network?
Yes, actually, all the practices, or a lot of the practices that we have done for Mexico involve some complexity regarding the border crossing and different conditions. And yes, we are sharing all those conditions for the external logistics, along with the internal, with this partnership between Penske and Toyota as an on-site partner. We are sharing all those learned lessons. And an example is the new MTM or Mazda Toyota plant that is coming in Alabama. So a lot of the activities that we have done on Mexico has been shared and are being implemented there too.
Okay, is there one last final question from the floor? We are approaching lunchtime, so that normally stops the questions. Okay, well, I'd like to thank my three guests on stage. So join me again, say thank you.